Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I am alive.
Yeah.
I am alive. I'm actually a little bit upset about this chapter so far, or about this act so far, because I took all of my notes. I mean, you know this because I already complained about it, but for everyone on the podcast, I took my notes and I did really well, and I had so many good notes and so many good things to talk about, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready. I've got all this stuff. And then I hit save on my notes, and then I closed my notes app, and then I opened up my notes app later because I was like, oh, you know what? I want to write down a theory I have, and all my notes were gone. So I have had to type up my notes twice. I also have lost most of my notes. But I remember most of what I was thinking of, at least the general thoughts. I just don't remember very little tiny notes that I made, you know. But my general stuff is here still. I deleted that note app entirely, and I've gotten a different notes app now that doesn't delete my messages randomly because wow. So you're gonna be kind of leading this whole episode because you have notes, and
I sure do.
I have a page of I have a page of general things, and I wrote down everything. I wrote down so much stuff, and it's just all gone. So
that's literally the one requirement of a notes app is not to do that.
Yeah, you would think. Shout out to Motorola for their notes app. It's truly one of the notes apps of all time.
Unshout out. Retract their name.
Retract their name. Just censor this. Just Motorola.
Yeah. Now a swear.
Now a swear. Welcome to Nextdoorstuck, episode 2. We're here. We started Act 2 today. Yeah. Or not today, but we're starting Act 2 on the podcast today.
Yeah.
And we've read a good chunk into it. I don't know quite how long the entire act is, but we haven't finished the act. But we wanted to do a little check-in episode, part of the way through. Because we're maybe halfway through?
Yeah, just about.
So this is a nice check-in spot.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you?
I'm great. I feel like I had a slightly better time than you during reading all of the game FAQ stuff, because you're like, these are walls of text, and I'm just like, this is like reading the journal of somebody that I went to school with. I don't know.
Valid. The game facts were a lot because here, just pull this one up at 249. Editor me. We're gonna be referencing editor me a lot, by the way, because I'm editing all these videos in post, and we add everything in post. So we have a video that's tracking all of the pages we go to. But so you'll hear us refer to editor me a lot. So just think of editor me as a third person on the podcast. But page 249's the shorter one, and the text is just hard for me to read, and I think it's just that I have trouble reading in general with text that's very easy, it's all crunched together.
Yeah.
I've never done good with this with this font anyways, so I think that was a lot of it. I think it was less the blocks of text and more just lots of words happening all in a very bad font.
Yeah.
So that was my big issue with it. It's also just come on, Rose. We're
literally the world is ending.
Literally the world is ending. Literally we are experiencing a catastrophic event, and Rose is I'd be inclined to dispense with the trite even under less pressing circumstances. Needless to say, I'll forgo the inscrutable ASCII banner, which typically heralds the striking freefall of these documents. Shut up!
Yeah.
Give us the information. She just talks.
Yeah.
And I love Rose so much already, but holy shit.
Yeah. Looking back, it's endearing, but I'm sure at the time this was extremely frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Everything is so dire, and yet Rose is I will somehow find the time to construct a novel on game FAQs.
Yeah, and it seems like I mean, like there is a point later in the act where we like see Rose typing up more of the game FAQ, but like we don't know like when this first part was typed up. It just is here now. Just kind of occurred.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. This is a lot to type up while your friend is dying.
Yeah.
Oh God, my friend's house has disappeared. Well, let me just type up some good words. Anyways, since you're reading this, chances are you've installed this game on your computer already. If this is true, like many others, you have just participated in bringing about the end of the world. But don't you beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if you've brought about the end of the world, I feel like maybe be a little bit more urgent in how you're writing. Like, do this.
Yeah. Did you install Spur Beta on your computer? You may be entitled to financial compensation.
Yeah.
Call,
God, I wish.
call 877 Rose.
You know, that's it. That's a whole phone number right there.
That's it. I mean, like, you know, it's close enough.
Yeah.
There's 4 numbers at the end. Anyways, yeah, the notes I do have are a little all over the place. So I'll just start off the podcast with a nice question. What the fuck is Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor is a friend.
No, I understand that. But like is like okay, because we see all the imps like show up later.
Yeah.
And like is Mr. Mayor just also an imp but good? Or is Mr. Mayor just a guy?
Mr. Mayor is Mr. Mayor. You will learn a lot more about what's going on there.
Great.
You are on the right track of like this looks similar to some other things that I've seen, and so maybe it's related. But
yeah, my thought is like maybe he's like just like a good imp or like some variation thereon where it's like Mr. Mayor's the good one, you know, and we got all the little bad ones trying to break into the house, and then Mr. Mayor's just like go get cookies. Yeah, because just like I don't know. There's just a lot of behavior that's like very non-human. That it's like okay, this is like very clearly like not a human.
Yeah.
This is very clearly like something else. And like we also see like Mr. Mayor typing back from the future. It seems there's a lot of like references to where like Mr. Mayor is. I'm gonna like be clicking through Editor Me, so just ignore it. But there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of stuff that's just like Mr. Mayor typing, and it's like in the near future, but not too far type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, okay, so is Mr. Mayor typing from the future, or is this just like we're fast forwarding 5 seconds, or like what's happening? Yeah, like okay, 271. It's years in the future, but not many. An unsealed tunnel welcomes hot desert air into the stagnant its stagnant depths. And it's Mr. Mayor going up to the computer and typing, but it's like the sentence. It's like the thing that was typed right at the very beginning of the act. So it's like, okay, so are we going into the future and then typing back to the past, or is time just relative in all of this?
So Mr. Mayor is typing. He is in the future, and he is typing in this terminal, and what Mr. Mayor is seeing is stuff that is happening in the comic current. So, like, as you can see here, like the Apple thing is happening.
Yes.
And so
this just further also leans into my whole theory that this is all just inside a video game.
I mean,
and we're all just playing a video game.
I mean,
like beyond like Spur Beta being a video game, but like
it is sort of a video game.
Well, like okay, yeah, but like. I mean, like how like we are able to like be an external entity and like control what is happening type of thing. Like even from like the beginning before we boot up Spur Beta, it being in a video game. And like my like last episode, we talked about how is dad just an NPC? Like this just further feeds into that theory because like Mr. Mayor is just like able to be in the future and type back to things as we are reading them, but like they are in the past because Mr. Mayor is in the future. So then like
it's like the communication like doesn't like even though Mr. Mayor is in the future, like the communication is direct to back then. Like those words are reaching the John that we are seeing in the comic.
Yeah. But then so then we are talking into the past.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So is this confirming that I guess time travel is a thing in this universe, or is this just confirming that we can that Spurb just has this ability, or
This is I would say I don't know that it's confirming time travel necessarily, but confirming that time is definitely different in this space.
It's just kind of all relative to itself.
Yeah. So the stuff that's happening right now, all the stuff the mayor is seeing is in the medium. And not just when John is wandering around the house.
Yeah.
So we see Nana Sprite during this act. And she sort of explains the structure of the game and what's going on. And
yeah, there's the whole thing about Nana Sprite explaining where we are and what's happening and how we get the chess piece analogy.
Yeah.
Which is very Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, no, that was very cool. I really like Nana Sprite's whole explanation of everything, and it was just okay, neat. And then she's just all right, time to go make some cookies. I'm gonna go make some cookies in the other room.
Yeah.
And kill things with my laser eye.
Yeah. And then Rose goes and writes a whole other game facts about this specifically getting into all the details and laying it out. The story is saying very deliberately you should go ahead and get a grasp on how this works, because you're going to be seeing this and we're going to be iterating on it, and you really want to understand how this works.
Yeah. No, that was good. And I feel the second explanation of it all was kind of nice, just to kind of beat it into my head a little bit.
Yeah. It was less weird sprite speak and just a little bit more plain.
It was less weird sprite speak and more very flowery wording speak.
Yeah. More
Rose.
More 13-year-old trying very hard to sound like she is an English major.
Yeah.
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 But when Nana is explaining stuff, she mentions that time flows independently in the medium from Earth or anything that these people have experienced so far.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if that just meant in general the medium and everything else related to this, or if it all of that is moving independent of the Earth itself, or if all the, because it talks about the medium, and then it also talks about what is it called up at the top, Skya, and it talks about Skya. I wasn't sure if that was Skya has its own time running, and then the medium has its own time running, and then whatever we're calling the dark lands has its own time running. I wasn't sure if that was how that was supposed to be, or if it was just that all of this space that exists is independent of Earth and it has its own timeline that is running all together.
Yeah, I think it is the Encyphosphere as a whole.
Okay.
The session is an instance.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense then. So it's all just within one giant. It's all within its own universe, and then all of that universe kind of shares a timeline. Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, but anything outside of that operates on its own time, and Monsieur Mayor, if this is a different place from within the medium, then time is different.
Monsieur Mayor.
Monsieur Mayor.
Give Mr. Mayor the little French mustache and a baguette. Monsieur Mayor.
I'm sure he would love a baguette.
Give him a little baguette. That way, instead of having to eat paper. Okay. That makes more sense then. Okay, I wasn't sure like how that was supposed to be interpreted, and I wasn't sure if it was like spoilers. Uh um oh, okay. So like I have a little note. I'm going to let you mostly lead with your notes, but I do have one note from like pretty early on in the act that I wanted to ask about.
Mhm.
So in pages 301 to 305, we actually like are with Rose, and Rose is looking at the grimoire
Yeah.
and is like looking through the whole thing and tries to hook it up to her specubus.
Mhm.
And it's just like, nope, you can't do that. There's dark powers. Yeah, it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, so I need to ask, is that just Rose being like smart? Or is that the specubus is straight up refusing to put the grimoire into the specubus? Because if so, that kind of has some weird implications.
Yeah, it's slightly up to interpretation, but like the implication is like like putting that in there as like a weapon and like designating that as like the force that you use to attack stuff with. I think the universe just like on a base level is like not into that.
I see. So it is like, at least in part, just like, hey, yeah, no, you can't use that. That's illegal.
Yeah.
That's a crime.
Yeah. It's like, listen, please don't sit here and try and summon Cthulhu. Like,
yeah, well, because then we get to see like later in the pages, like 302 through 305 is just like showing us the different beasts inside the grimoire, and like we get to see all of them, and then also like a weird summoning procedure. There's like a whole page containing notes on that, which you can't actually read.
No,
like I tried, I zoomed in really hard trying to read it.
and yeah,
I was like, this is going to be important later. I will zoom in. Oh, those are not text.
No. So these pages specifically, like the stuff in the grimoire and the like windows and stuff, are like pretty direct references to Problem Sleuth.
What is that?
Which is the previous comic that this guy did.
Okay.
So like they have different significance in this context, but like it is a callback. So like at this point, seeing this, all you're supposed to think is, oh, haha, the last comic.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
See, I don't have that context. So, okay. That makes sense then. I just wasn't sure if that was like if this is going to be plot later, that we have a grimoire in our little Siladex, in our captcha log, and it's just going to get used in this. One day we're going to stick it in the specubus and just like wreak havoc.
Yeah, I would recall that this exists. You don't have to like know the names of all of the stuff and like memorize.
Just like
fake
know
Cthulhu.
that the book is there.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that. I can remember a book. Not anything inside it.
And that's okay.
I have ADHD. I don't remember anything inside a book. All right. That makes more sense then. Oops. Kick the stand for the light.
Oh, no. Yeah, just all of my notes are just like, surely this will never be relevant, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway.
Great. Yeah, you've been reading the version that has all of the like extra notes too. So I'm sure you've been like getting lots of extra context on all these little things that I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah, it's helping like refresh my memory and also like connect things that like I like was not aware of the first time that I read it, because like that stuff didn't exist yet.
Okay.
So
that's that's cool.
Yeah,
that sounds like a fun experience then. I've been enjoying reading through it for the first time, because like it is like it is all out now. So like I don't have to wait. I can just keep reading as long as I want. I don't have to like like I'm not gonna like hit page like 309 or something and then suddenly have to stop for however long.
Yeah.
Like I can just read till I'm done. So it has been really cool, because like I am enjoying the story so far, and I am interested to see like what's about to happen. And like we ended what page did we end on?
444.
444. So 444 is I've read a little bit past that at this point. But like yeah, but like it has been really cool, and I'm excited for more.
Yeah.
I've read to I think like page 500 in actuality. Just because I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll just keep reading until I find like a really good stopping point, and then I just never found one. So I just kept reading.
Yeah, it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah, I hit 509 and I was like, okay, you know what? This is a good stopping point. I need food.
Yeah.
So I stopped there. It was not a good stopping point. It's like John like in a room, just in a room.
Yeah, just vibing.
Yeah. So it yeah. So I've been reading. It's been nice being able to just kind of read.
Yeah.
And just kind of enjoy it. All right, what you got there in your note? You have so many notes. Oh my god.
Yeah, I have like notes for every single page, and then like things to discuss. So like we've sort of touched on the lore, and like the game mechanic situation. I have a thing I've sent you here that is an author's note that describes sort of the relationship with perspective. Because last time you were a little bit confused about that, because like the story's sort of figuring it out, and like it can be hard to tell if it's referring to you as in you or you as in the character that's on screen.
Yeah.
And so this says here, notice how the game engine is flexible enough to switch between speaking in first person and second person voice. It will refer to the character as you most of the time, but will refer to him as John when the guy who is typing, in this case, WV, or Mr. Mayor, insists on addressing John directly. At that point, the you becomes the one who is typing, and John is just John. This meta logic is perforating one of the walls, but it's hard to say which one. It's perhaps a wall that is shaped like a fractal, existing somewhere between the third and the fourth.
I see.
Yeah.
So we're just like constantly shifting perspective.
Yeah, it's all like based on context.
Okay.
It will get easier to tell as time goes on, like both through the story, like getting a little bit clearer about it, and like you like adjusting to the vibes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I'll just start to pick up on vibes eventually.
Yeah,
and like I am a little bit in Act 2. Like I was able to like track a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like we didn't read Act 2. We didn't start reading Act 2 until we had recorded the episode for Act 1.
Yeah.
And like I won't be reading past where we're at until we finish recording this. So that way that like I'm not going into an episode with any more context than like what we have for the episode. So anytime anytime we have like these episodes, at the point of recording the episode, I have not read past whatever page this episode ends on. And that'll be for the entire podcast. If we have a thing that's like going till page, I don't know, 1005, like that's just a random page number. I don't know what that is, but page 1005, let's say. If there's something on page 1006 that clears up a question, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Like if I have a question in the podcast and it's like, oh yeah, I have questions about this thing, and like, oh, like what does this all mean? Like if it's on the next page, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, like and
you'll hear about it in the next episode.
Yeah, like in episode 1, you're like, well, did we live? And like that does get cleared up immediately, but not until you keep reading.
Yeah, I have to actually like click the button and go to the next page, which I didn't do until after we'd recorded. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I like it. I think it's a fun way of doing this whole like read through, because like it allows us to make the podcast, which I think is really fun, but also like I get to like hash out all my theories and then go read the next part, and then it's like, are we alive? Oh, okay, yeah, we are. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy it.
Speaking of theories, I would like to hear more about like what questions you have and what you think might happen, but like specifically to start off, like when Nana is explaining everything, and John is like, so we're supposed to save the world, right? And Nana's like, no, honey, like Earth is fucked. Like there's something else that you're supposed to be doing, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. What do you think the point of the game is, if not to save the world?
I think it's I mean, like, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's like another world that we're going to be able to vibe in afterwards, or like maybe maybe like the Earth being fucked is actually just like not actually like maybe it's not actually ruined, and it's just like, oh well, the Earth is ruined because like, you know, bad things exist, type of thing. Like, I don't know what that is necessarily, because like there's still people, as of right now, there are still several characters we see in the world that are just like not experiencing any like anything. Like Dave is actively just like vibing in a city, and like you can look at like page 444, and like you can see that there's like rain happening and there's like meteors occurring and stuff like that. But like Dave's just vibing. Like nobody else is seeming to really like. There's no state of emergency.
Yeah.
You know, the city's not like actively evacuating. The only person that really seems like super affected by this, besides, you know, John and Dadbert, is Rose. And Rose's mom is completely unaware. And so it's just Rose just being like, oh my gosh, I've got to like figure out how to get in there before the meteors destroy my house.
Yeah. So
like I'm not entirely sure if it's like gonna be, oh, the entire world is actually like ruined and you there's no Earth to go back to type of thing, or if it's just like, oh yeah, there were some really bad meteors and like parts of the Earth are just destroyed, but also there's just a whole lot of bad stuff there, and so it's just ruined. You just shouldn't go back there type of thing. I do kind of get the vibe that this is like the type of, because like they talk about how like once the 4 kernel sprites are in their spots, because whenever the kernel sprites like split, they it does that like page like 251, where the kernel sprite just splits in half, and it goes up and it goes down, and Nana explains that like once that happens and all 4 are in their spots, then like the war actually begins, and like Light is destined to lose. And so like to me this kind of reads like this entire point of this whole thing is like you're destined to die. Like like that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, or like but like it kind of like is feeling like, I don't know, it almost feels like, all right, John, you're here. Anyways, your side's destined to lose, or the side that you probably like is destined to lose. Anyways, once you and 3 others are here, you'll be able to start that, and then everybody will lose. Enjoy.
And like Rose gets into that a little bit in like her big exposition thing right after that.
Yeah.
Of just like, so like theoretically this game could be played with 2 people, but something about the game knows that like we're gonna have to like do this in a particular way that will necessitate it having 4 people, or like necessitate it having 3 people, but there are 4, and so it must know something that I don't, and so like, am I destined to do something? Is destiny real? Okay,
so this actually brings me just into I guess the next part of this, which is we know that like Rose is trying to get in. So I think it's safe to assume that the second kernel sprite is probably Rose. Or it is Rose's kernel sprite, rather. Rose going in, Rose's kernel sprite is there. It does its little split. Boom. That's number 2. John's was number 1. In my mind, it's safe to assume Dave is next. I don't really know how Dave's going to get into there. Because like we're running out of people. But then like this just leads to the next thing of what's up with Gigi? Because Gigi is starting to give me very weird vibes. That's like something I like really wanted to ask you, is like what are you what's your theory there? What are the vibes? Okay, so I actually like I made you keep reading until like a later page because of that. Because of specifically because of the stuff with Gigi, because there's a page later with Rose that you do a flashback, and Rose is like talking to Gigi, and it's like on her birthday. It's page 442. It's on Rose's birthday. Rose just got the gift from John that is all the yarn that she's been using to like sew or to knit stuff. And like we see that in like the knitted laptop holder, and we see a couple of other things that have been knitted throughout the house as we go through the act. But Gigi like talks about Gigi is like, oh, I have a thing for you. I think you'll enjoy it more than an item. It's information. Did you have a pet a long time ago that died? Okay, well, how do you feel about your cat? Did you love him a lot? And Rose is just kind of like, I've never mentioned a cat. I've also never mentioned that he was like a male cat. I guess like I'm pretty lukewarm about this whole thing. And Gigi's just like, okay, that's okay. What if there was a game that could bring your cat back?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that reads, and like that's months ago.
Yeah.
So to me, this kind of reads as like Gigi might be like not. I think there's something up with Gigi. Potentially, Gigi is trying to like get all of them into the medium like purposefully, and like
it's like, to what end?
Yeah, to what end? Like, what is the purpose here? And I mean, like the only thing I can assume right now is that Gigi might be the fourth one. But also, like, if this is the case, then is Gigi already there? Like, is Gigi already in the medium or in Skya or somewhere? And like, why? I don't know. There's so much like weird stuff that came up in this act with Gigi, where it was just like, just a friend, just a pal, just being real smiley, just being real friendly with everybody. And then is also like, what if I told you that there was a video game out there that you could play and it would bring your cat back to life?
Yeah.
And also, anyways, enjoy, bye. And then a couple months later, a game shows up that then takes us into the medium and is all of this. And it's like, okay, it's kind of safe. In my mind, it's safe to assume that Gigi is speaking about Spurb Beta. And like, and I forget this. Yeah, Gigi even mentions that like, if that someone, okay, so Rose says if that someone was you, on the other hand, then I would have to ask preemptively, is that someone you? So Gigi's like, yes, that someone is me. I just thought you might find it interesting. And then Rose is like, what is this game? Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying is all. I think you'll hear about it later, and maybe you can talk to John and Dave about it. Yeah, they're way more into all that stuff than I am, and it's like, okay, so you obviously know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So, like, well, to what end?
Yeah.
Like, is Gigi responsible for everybody getting Spurb? Because I forget who sent the Spurb Beta to John's house. Because everybody sent gifts to John.
Yeah. But I think, like, the beta was just, like, coming late in the mail.
Yeah. So, I just, I'm not sure what's up with Gigi, but I get weird vibes.
Yeah.
I get the weird vibes that, like I think my current theory right now is that Gigi is in somewhere, not Earth, whether it be Skya, whether it be the medium, whether it be somewhere, like, I don't know. But I think that right now, that's my theory, is that Gigi is somewhere in that. But I think another theory that I might have is that Gigi is not there, but is like from there, question mark? And like is actively trying to like get this to start, to which then it's like, okay, are you trying to get this to start so you can win? Are you actually evil? Is this gonna be an issue?
Right.
Like, I don't know. We need to meet Gigi.
I will say, for the sake of like discussion, that Gigi uses she, her pronouns, so we can like refer. But yeah. Yeah, it's the vibes. The vibes are all over the place. It's so hard to tell at this point, just like what her intentions are, because like she's being very friendly, but it's hard to tell if this is like she's trying to be nice and like do something that she thinks her friend will enjoy, or like be weird and like try and get something else to happen. Maybe
I just have trauma, but like anytime somebody's like this and they're like, hey, I know about a thing that could like, or what if there was a thing? I was just, I'm just thinking about things. I just thought it would be cool to talk about a game. Yeah. Maybe you'll hear about it later. I think that you'll hear about it later. You should talk to John and Dave about it whenever it happens. Anyways, bye! And just like leaves. And then a couple months later, that thing happens. To me, I'm like, all right, this was obviously your doing.
Yeah.
Like, this was obviously your doing. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just have trauma. Maybe it's intentional.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's Maybelline. That's kind of my theory right now with all that. That's kind of my theory with all that. I think Dave is probably third. I think Rose is probably second. I think that's pretty easy to tell from like where because like we're actively trying to get Rose in right now. So like makes sense. So I think from this point it's just like we're gonna see Rose get in, we're gonna see Dave get in, and then maybe we'll meet Gigi after that, and maybe Gigi will be helping Dave get in. I don't know, or maybe Dave's brother. Although I kind of highly doubt we'll ever see Dave's brother. I just like I don't know. I don't foresee us ever really seeing Dave's brother unless like he's gonna come along with us for the plot.
Yeah,
you know, like I just like I don't really see like what the like what purpose that would serve.
Fair enough.
Like because isn't his brother older?
Yeah.
Okay, so then like in my mind, like Dave's brother is just going to be treated like all the other adults.
Yeah, like Dave's bro is his like guardian in the same sense as like dad and mom.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then definitely going to be treated like an adult. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Dave's brother at least. Maybe we will, but I don't think we will. I think Dave's brother is just like a weird entity that we've entered into the story, and then as soon as we leave, we will never hear from Dave's brother ever again, other than like maybe it'll come up as like references later, and like we'll like have stuff with that. But like I don't know, I don't foresee Dave's brother being super important.
Heard. I do. I have in my little list of like character things to talk about. Like the Dave and Bro dynamic. Why puppets?
Yeah.
And I specifically wanted to discuss that you immediately clocked Bro as gay. Like,
oh yeah, that was in my initial notes too. I was just like, so Dave's bro is gay, right?
And it's like, yeah, but he would hate that you noticed that right away. Like,
look, you can't have what page is Dave's bro on? I forget. Oh, editor B, you'll find it. But Dave's bro has a like T-Pain or a Mr. T rather, not T-Pain. Wow, a Mr. T puppet that is in a leather thong, handcuffed to a pantsless Chuck Norris.
It's ironic. Ha 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 ha
ha ha ha. It's ironic, and also you're gay.
Yeah.
It's okay, but also just a quick question. Why the like I don't even know if I could talk about this on YouTube. Why the
puppets in that way?
Why the puppets? Why are we making the puppets do things for a website? I don't even know if I can put up an image. Editor me, if you think you can put up an image just kind of like showing what we're talking about. That.
Yeah, that.
That's what we're talking about. Why? Why is this thing?
It is either for money or ha-has.
Yeah. Well, Dave mentions it being like a multi-million-dollar thing, which I think is just Dave bullshitting.
Yeah.
I think it's just
it's Dave bullshitting or Bro bullshitting and Dave believing it.
Like, probably Bro bullshitting and Dave just being like, wow, so cool. My bro uses puppets and makes millions of dollars. It's ironic. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Like, it kind of feels like Dave's just kind of believing everything, and so it's probably Bro just saying stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I make $1 million on this website. Meanwhile, it's like not profitable.
Yeah.
It's just for personal enjoyment.
And like we can see that like Dave sort of like, I don't know if overcompensates is the word, but like really overdoes like everything in terms of like, yeah, my brother's so cool. Like I definitely am on board for everything my brother does, and I write a monthly review of Game Bro, and it's always raving, and like it's like methinks thou doth protest too much.
Yeah.
And we can see that sort of break a little bit when he's talking with Rose, like towards the end of where we were reading.
Yeah.
Where he's like, maybe puppets are not cool. And Rose is like, really?
I love how Rose is just like on board to just like let people figure their stuff out. Because like Rose earlier talks about how like, oh yeah, I really love your brother's website. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just know about it.
Yeah. You are trying to start shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you bring this up, that it like could trigger a conversation that like somebody needs to have.
Yeah, it'll spur a conversation that then Rose can write down about. Rose can be the therapist.
Yeah. God.
Rose can write down notes about Dave.
Mm-hmm. I like reading this like back now. Like so many of like Rose and Dave's conversations have like gay BFF energy.
Yeah,
and like both through like the author's notes and just like remembering the vibe at the time, everyone was just like, I say everyone, a lot of straight people online were like, this is flirting, and no, it isn't.
No,
it isn't.
No, anybody who thinks that's flirting, I need you to tell me in the comments why.
Yeah, explain yourself.
And if you don't think it's flirting, I need you to hop in the comments and tell me that you don't think it's flirting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do have a couple of notes that I like remembered from my initial notes batch that I then like whenever I realized that my notes were gone, I like quickly like went and locked myself in a room and I just like wrote down as much as I could remember. So that way I had it. So like I do remember some stuff, and I do remember writing my notes about Dave and it just being like, new character, we've got a new character, oh heck. And then, oh my gosh, it's Dave. Oh, Dave's a little shit.
Yeah.
Just immediately, like very next page, just Dave's a little shit, huh? Here to cause problems, huh?
He's here to cause many problems, and like I adore Dave, but he is a little shit.
Just yeah, Dave's just not wanting to do anything without a reason. Yeah, no, I have that. I also have some notes about how like Dave's like music device was really cool. I ended up playing with that a whole lot. And editor me, just like put it up. Just like put up the video that I recorded earlier. But there's a music device in there that we get to play with, and I thought that was really fun. And then we ended up finding that like there's extra buttons that you have to like do. Like you have to like touch the 4 corner buttons, and then it pops up these extra 4 buttons that are just like tracks from stuff. And I can't play those in the podcast because I don't have permission. But like, there's probably music playing underneath me right now that is from the machine, and I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a really cool way for like me to see the different like composition styles for all the musicians at this point, because like we see Mark, and Mark who's been super generous enough to let us like use the music in the podcast with credit, and like I get to like see how his compositional style like compares to everybody else's, and like and like same with everybody. But I thought it was really fun because it was just like as I have a master's degree in music, and so for me to get to like analyze all of that now is really neat, because now I can like going forward, I know that there's like these different compositional styles, and it'll be really cool to kind of analyze them further. But that tool just gave me like a really good way to do like direct comparisons, you know,
just assess the vibes.
Yeah, I could just like get a good assessment of vibes. So yeah, I thought it was really neat. I really like Dave's little device. I played around with that for much longer than I should have.
I write underneath my notes about the little beats machine. I'm like, oh yeah, there are Easter egg tracks, yeah. And then on the next page, just, hey, sorry, but how does this modus work? What is math?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, yeah. Page 319, captcha log. I just have a note. It just says page 319, captcha log for Dave. Bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't understand this captcha log. If anybody understands this captcha log, please explain it to me, because I have tried to, like, I don't understand it. The math does not make sense. It's like box. So it takes, like, okay, I understand consonants are a value and vowels are a value. Okay, fine, fair enough. So box would be the number 5 because it's 2, 2, and 1, 2 consonants and a vowel, which creates 5. And then we divide 5 by 10 and get 5.
Yeah,
And like, I guess like that very specific situation, I could like understand, like maybe it's just like taking the percentage, you know what I mean? Because like, like if we divide 5 by 10, that would be 0.5.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But then later it's like 7. All right, 7 divided by 10 is 7. And it's like, that's incorrect no matter what you do. Like I sat there with a calculator trying to figure out any way that math would make sense and could not get it.
Yeah. This is one of the mysteries of all time. I'm sure there's someone that gets it, but I just sort of look at it and go, oh, okay.
Yeah, whoever you are that understands it, please tell me. I just want to understand. I just want to know why.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to know. The modus itself, like, honestly, is probably my favorite of the ones so far, just like on a whole, just because like it makes more sense, I guess. It is kind of funny that like we see at the end with like page 440-ish. Or no, it was before that, but whenever Dave like screams at the bird and then the katana goes flying out of the inventory. I think it's really funny that like not only do you have to insert the item, so like box is 5, but then you also have to use a word that is 5 as well to get the box out. And so like you have to use the box in a way that like works. It's weird, but I kind of like, I don't know. I think it's definitely one of the better systems. It's better than the stack.
Yeah.
It's better than the tree.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
The tree is awful.
Yeah. Like stack is inconvenient, but at least it's understandable. Like,
yeah, it's just a pile.
Yeah. But I like Dave, is this?
Yeah. It's just Dave needs to. Why do all of them have these? Why can't we just like stick things in a pocket?
That would be too easy.
What else you got here?
I have apple juice ruined. Some crimes can never be forgiven, Egbert.
Oh.
I at several points have written down that Dave is a dear sweet AliExpress katana haver.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like
just
flea market katana.
Yeah, just like insisting, like no, it's cool, it's sharp, it's fine, it's a sword, but like no.
It's the katana you got whenever you went with your bro to the flea market to buy puppets, and then that's cool. But also, I bought this sword, and it's from a legendary swordsman or whatever, and it's like made. It's like
it's from the anime store in the mall.
Yeah, it's like clearly printed, made in China. Yeah. It's got like rope wrapped around the handle as like, and it's like not good rope. It's like very
just like hide our bad craftsmanship rope.
Yeah. Hide our bad craftsmanship and welding job. So yeah, no, the sword is bad.
At this point in Act 2, there's been a lot of good like ambience and stuff. Got like the heartbeats and the like suspenseful stuff, but also the Song of Skaya is like it hits so good.
Where is that at on the pages?
That I believe is during Nana Sprite's stuff, so try like 425.
Yeah, Skies of Skaya I think is very fun. I like the animation a lot to it. I like the music to it a lot. It's very neat.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that like even right off the bat like sounds kind of nostalgic. It's just like, oh, I am being told a lovely story by my granny. Yeah, and it's delightful.
It's very like tranquil.
Yeah,
it's very tranquil. It's very it like gives the vibe of like what is it? It's the it like gives the vibe. I mean, it kind of gives the vibe of long ago, the four nations lived in harmony.
Exactly.
The Avatar.
Yeah, it's like at the beginning of an anime or a game where they're like, long ago.
Yeah. It is really cool. I do like how it like sets up just like this, like, I don't know. I feel like this is the point, because we had in Act 1, we had like Suburban Countdown, and then we had like the loading music as well, and we had all of this really cool music that kind of like set the theme and was like, we're getting into this now. And I feel like this is like the point where we kind of figure out, I mean, we figure out like the plot a little bit.
Yeah.
We like figure out the lore of what's occurring and what's supposed to be happening around us. And like it's very much like in the sense of like talking like a video game. It's like the sense of like if you were playing a Final Fantasy game and suddenly it was like, all right, well, you're now going to figure out about your great destiny as a hero, and it's which is exactly what's happening.
Yeah. It's like the music like in combination with like the text that like accompanies it is very like is emphasizing the potential of the story.
Yeah.
And like showing you all of like these are the possibilities. Like this is like what you've gotten yourself into, and like it's like it's a big deal. It's distressing, but like it's an adventure. Like lots of cool shit could happen. Like Skya, like in here, is described as like an unlimited font of creative potential.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that mean? Like,
yeah, that makes me interested to see like what's going to happen, especially with like how we've seen Spur beta work so far.
Yeah.
Like it makes me wonder, is it going to be like I almost like want to think like it's going to be Spur beta, but you just like have unlimited grist and you have unlimited everything and you can just kind of just build type of thing. Like a free build area type of thing.
Yeah.
Which would be very cool.
You get creative mode.
Yeah, creative mode. I will say that like from a musician's perspective, Mark does a really good job of like the textures that Mark uses in this just really like do justice to like Skya as a whole, I think. Because like the chimes that are used like as like the little plucks that are happening under above everything,
yeah,
like kind of like set that like heavenly feel almost.
Yeah.
Mixed with like there's the wind blowing because we're just like it is just like an old story. Like it is just Nana telling an old story that's just been like passed along the wind or whatever, and it's about this space that's like way up in the air and you got to pass through all the gates and whatnot, and it's like it does a really good job at like kind of building Skya out to be like this like heavenly like ethereal place, I think. While also not like it doesn't try to make it out to be like actually like heaven type thing, you know. It's not trying to make a heaven analogy. I think it's pulling from that, but then like with the undertones that are happening underneath that, with the very slow moving bass line and like the wind blowing underneath, I think it like does a good job at kind of keeping itself grounded as like, yeah, this is like a very like beautiful place and a very like pretty like a heavenly euphoria place, but also it's not perfect, and it is very like tangible as like a like location, you know what I mean? It's not just like some ethereal plane. It is there is a tangible space here that exists, and it's not so much heaven or anything as it is just like the upper space, like up in the clouds or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like a destination, and then like it is sort of like what you make of it.
Yeah,
like I feel like Nana's like implying like this is where you're headed, and like there's a lot of potential there, and like that is all the information we really have at this point. It's just that like this is like the center of everything.
Yeah, I really like how the soundtrack has gone in this so far. I keep almost calling it a game, but like I really enjoy how the soundtrack has been so far. Yeah, it's really lended itself well to like the story, and like it's all like super simple too. So it's really cool. And like I'm gonna do my best throughout this whole podcast to not just like start ripping everything apart as like a music as a former music major and like just be like, well, if you hear here, the chord progression shifts to this, and then they do an augmented second here, or what. Like, I'm not gonna do any of that stuff if I can avoid it. But I would like to just like, as we go through, just like talk about how like the music is used as like a creative catalyst to push the narrative.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's way more interesting. And I think that's way more interesting to like have that, because like even like getting off of Skies of Skya, like going to any of the other tracks in this, like where it's just like wind happening, like it's very intentional when it happens.
Yeah.
It's very intentional when there is sound in the story so far, and I think that's really cool because it gives it gives a sense of place to those moments, because it like the end of where we stopped at page 444, when it's just literally city sounds and wind and a little bit of like, there's like, it almost sounds like a little bit of like, not rain, but like something falling in the background, which is probably just all the meteors or whatever happening in the background. But you like see this like you like hear this whole like cityscape happening while you see that Dave is on the top floor of like a skyscraper apartment complex, and you like hear like the buses flying by, and you hear the cars driving by and the revving of engines and like the sirens happening, which really kind of like places Dave in my mind, because unlike anything else that we have experienced up to this point, Dave is in a city. And everybody else is like in a suburban area or like out in the middle of nowhere. And then we have Dave, who is like in the middle of like downtown. Like this, like the sounds that happen here gave me big made me reminisce on my time when I was like spending a lot of time in Baltimore, because this is what it sounds like outside your apartment in Baltimore on the week, like on any weekday.
Yeah.
Like this is just the sounds you hear, like whenever you go to bed. And like, whenever I was in Baltimore a lot, I was like staying with like an ex-partner, and their apartment was on like the like 20th floor or something like that, like very high up. And like, that is the exact sound, is just like constant sirens, constant cars moving around. You hear the wind, you hear the rustling of the city down below you. And I think that does a really good job of kind of like placing Dave as like being downtown, and then like with everyone else, it's just wind and there's no sound really happening. And it's kind of like, okay, unlike Dave, everybody else, there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening around Rose's house. There's nothing happening around there at all. And that's why there's just wind and rain, and that's all we hear, is because there's not all these cars driving around, not anything like occurring. Like it kind of gives the vibe of like Rose is just like in the middle of nowhere, which seems to be the case, but like just in the middle of nowhere. There's not really people around. There's nobody coming to the house. Like Rose is very isolated, and like just has like the internet to connect with friends. Whereas like Dave, I think also is like very much relying on the internet for friends, but also like has this whole city underneath.
Yeah. Like does like encounter other people regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Encounters other people regularly, versus Rose, who like probably doesn't. Rose is probably like pretty isolated, like most if not all of the time. And it kind of comes through in like their characters a little bit. Like we see how Rose is like just used to being alone.
Yeah.
And just like used to being isolated. Versus like Dave, like very much is the cool kid and like trying to be the cool kid, and like I don't know, like Dave like seems like the kid that would like be trying to like look real cool at school type of thing. Versus Rose is just like not worried about any of that, because she's just like not doing, like even if she is going to school, like she's not really interacting with people, it seems.
Yeah.
As far as we know. So I think the soundtrack does a really good job at just kind of like setting the scene and setting characters and like building characters even beyond like the character, like what is in the text.
Yeah.
Just because we get all these little subtle things of like just there's no sounds, it's just wind.
Yeah.
So
it like adds a lot of context and like emotion to everything.
Yeah.
And it helps define characters too. Like as as we go, you will see this even more. But like every character that you've seen so far like has a dedicated instrument that they either like know or that like plays to represent them. Like John plays piano and Rose plays violin and Dave has his beats machine. And those are used like throughout the music of the comic to like signify those characters and like bring their essence into a song whenever it's relevant.
Yeah.
And that's built on a whole lot and like gives a lot of character to the music and a lot of music to the characters.
Yeah. No, I think that it does just such a good job.
Yeah.
Where is the last song I guess I want to talk about real quick? I've got to remember where it is. And it'll take me a second. Okay. So page 400.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we get this. I love that we get this track over and over.
Yeah.
And it just like builds onto itself as we've gone through the entire story.
Yeah.
And editor me, it's Showtime. And we hear it like multiple times throughout the story. Same with Harlequin. We also see Harlequin a whole lot throughout the story, and it kind of shifts as the story progresses.
Yeah.
And like as it like makes itself needed. But like I think Showtime is a really cool example in Homestuck of like we're starting to see these themes emerge, and like that's something that's very it's something that's like very common in general with soundtracks, is to just like have a little theme that you grab and you hold on to. And so I think it's really cool that like Homestuck is already in these first two acts, and like really it was in the first act, is like setting up these themes, setting up all of this music. We have like 3 big themes so far that have like made themselves apparent and are just like constantly being used over and over and over in different variations or in the same variation just happening again. I'm interested to see how these themes like evolve over time.
Yeah.
Because like as we go, like I imagine these are just gonna become even more ingrained in the soundtrack. So I'm like looking at this as like knowing that there are over 8,000 pages. I'm really excited to see like what happens as we go towards like the latter half of that and how these themes just like bury themselves inside of other like bigger pieces of music.
Yeah.
Or like other bigger pieces of media, because like that's like a common thing. That's a very like common compositional tool, and like as a musician, like I already see that we're doing it. So I'm excited to see where these themes, because like Showtime and Harlequin both, like they're gonna end up everywhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna get like buried inside of stuff, and we'll hear like the little like melody to Showtime underneath some other melody later. And so I'm excited to be able to like pick that up. But I just wanted to mention that because like I know we're going to hear it a whole lot.
Yeah.
And it vibes. I'm probably going to like make some covers of all of these songs, honestly. I don't know like when or if I'll like put them out anywhere. But I will like do something. I'm going to do something. So at some point I want to make a bunch of covers of all these songs and just like use that as a way to like look through the music more.
Heck yeah.
So I'll probably do that at some point. I might like stream it or something and just like take a day and just like make a bunch of covers of all the music we've gone through, because I have the first pack the first like music pack unlocked album, or the first album unlocked. Now that I've read far enough, it like gave me a little achievement thing. So I can now like go through that and like I can like look at the music objective. Like I can go back and listen to the music objectively now and just like be like out of context of the story. Let me listen to this. So I am excited because I think it'll be really cool to tear them apart a little more.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. So now we have to read the rest of Act 2.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm jazzed.
I'm jazzed. Oh my gosh. I'm also jazzed. I'm excited to see where things go. I think that like the plot has a lot of potential right now, and I think that there's a lot of little like mini arcs that are happening all at once, and I think that they're just gonna all like coagulate into one like massive arc, which is gonna be really fun. And I'm excited to see like how long that takes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Anyways, do you have anything else?
I feel like that's a pretty good stopping spot. I'm like very excited to read more.
Me too. I'm excited to read more. I don't know if these episodes are going to be weekly or if these episodes are going to be bi-weekly or what, but we will figure that out as we go along. It's a new podcast.
Vibin'.
Yeah, and just like real quick before we end the podcast, big shout out to all of y'all that like have already listened and have been hanging out. And like if you've listened this far, like thanks for listening. Thanks for enjoying this. Like I really have enjoyed getting to see the comments on YouTube, especially. Just like being like, oh, I'm so excited for this. This is cool. Like it's been really like exciting getting to like see people be excited about this with us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for more. The engagement with us is always appreciated and always really cool. That's one of my favorite parts of content creation in general. It's just like getting to engage with people who enjoy the things that we make.
Yeah.
So I appreciate y'all and thanks for listening. And I don't really know how to end this podcast yet. Maybe we'll have an ending at some point, but for now, editor to me, do a thing.